Hey, this is John Cooksey from the Hot Springs Broadcast Network, and we are here with Mackenzie Lambert here on the old Fogle Field in Hot Springs, Arkansas. This is sort of the overflow area for the alligator farm owned by the same family that owns the alligator farm right off of Whittington Park. And this used to be a practice field, so when they had the spring training back in the day across the street where Weyerhaeuser parking lot is, they would also have this area to train.
This area right here, known as Fogle Field, was built in 1912 by Philadelphia Phillies owner Horace Fogle. This right here was used primarily for the spring training grounds for the Phillies. That is, that they didn't train here but 1 year, and that was 1912. After that, it was divided up, and several teams used this very field where we're walking on right now for Major League Baseball spring training. What most people don't know is the first Major League team to come to Hot Springs was the Chicago White Stockings, which later became the Chicago Cubs. They're playing in the World Series this year. That was 1895 with then team captain Cap Anson. Chicago Cubs came here. The White Stockings, of course, continued later, then being the Cubs. Even the White Sox had players come to Hot Springs. One of the most famous was Al Simmons. So right here, if we look behind us to the side, directly below where we were just standing on Fogle Field, Swan Lake. This right here was Fordyce Lake originally, property owned by Colonel Samuel Fordyce of Bathhouse fame down on Bathhouse Road. Swan Lake right here, where a lot of the home runs went into. Most people think that when there were home runs coming from directly across from us in Whittington Avenue, they were going into the alligator farm. Well, that's true in some cases, but a lot of them landed right here in this parking lot. What we're going to right now, Whittington Park, later known as Ban Johnson Field.
Okay, here we go.
There's 3 different Whittington Parks, at least in most people's opinion. You've got the baseball diamond, where we're actually going to right now. And then on either my left or right side, you have an additional Whittington Park. You had an amusement park that had a boxing ring, all kinds of arcade games, located just a little bit further past us, right in this wide open area where the buildings are housed now. That would have had a grand entrance. You'd have had all kinds of
And we got a postcard of that.
Right, we do.
Okay, and then right here was the ostrich farm right over here?
The ostrich farm, exactly. Directly across the street from us. Not so pretty property.
Right, and now let's go over here to where we're now at center field right now, right?
That's
or
correct.
Second base or whatever. Okay, what can you tell us about the history of Whittington Baseball Park?
This right here is the most historic field in Hot Springs history. Babe Ruth, Honus Wagner, Grover Cleveland Alexander, all those guys stood right here where we're standing. They played right here. If we look a little bit further past us, we're going to notice on the ground a white marking. That's home plate for Whittington Park. That right there has seen more home runs than any other square inch of Hot Springs.
Now, before I met you, I did some discovering around here, and I'm always interested in why people put things here. And my theory on why this baseball field was here, number one was it's far enough out of town that it's not interrupting or being distracted by the goings-on, a half-mile away. But number two, most people don't realize, and I found this out, that there is a spring behind here, which they would have put home plate and the spring right by the bleachers, so the fans and all the players can get their fresh water right through this spring. There's water, look, right down there. We haven't had rain in really a couple months, and there is water. So I'm sure they chose this because they didn't have city water at the time. They chose this as instant clean water, right?
That's right, and it's not a hot water spring that Hot Springs is famous for, so it's a cold water spring. This was an immediate source of cold water for the players and the fans alike here at Whittington
Great
Park.
way to cool down at 100 degrees. And if you look up here to the right of the spring is your seats. Your bleachers are still there. So you can type in some numbers and hear more about what's going on a guided cell phone tour. Anything else that you want to say?
Not that I can think of, other than if you're a true baseball fan, this is the one stop you need to make here in Hot Springs.
The original Whittington Field off Whittington Avenue here in Hot Springs, Arkansas.